Today, we meet a rising star of Kindle Vella, Amazon's new story subscription service that presents serialized works written specifically for the platform. Will you find your next favorite fiction on Kindle Vella? What does it take to write for Kindle Vella? How to promote yourself on Kindle Vella, and more. Let's engage.
Take your seat. The human adventure is just beginning.
Our guest for the next few episodes is Crystal Crawford. Crystal is an author whose work has appeared in DreamForge Magazine and who has been writing for Kindle Vella since its inception in the spring of 2021. Her series, Macchiatos, Fairy Princes, and Other Things That Happen at Midnight, Leyward Stones, Season 1, recently jumped to the top 100 Kindle Vella series. And Crystal is accomplishing that rare feat for the average writer, making money at her craft. Def, please introduce Crystal, and we'll get right to it.
Today we welcome Crystal Crawford. Crystal is a homeschooling mom of 4, part-time non-profit director and writing teacher, and indie author. Her imagination is her happy place. Crystal writes fantasy and YA, with a smattering of other genres, and loves to create deep, enveloping story worlds. Crystal has one published YA fantasy series, The Lex Chronicles, Legends of Arameth, and is now writing a new YA paranormal folklore-inspired fantasy series, The Leyward Stones, which is currently publishing in weekly episodes on Amazon's Kindle Vella serial platform. Crystal has published 2 stories with DreamForge Magazinel, Both Our Kind, and One Shot at Aeden, are side stories set in the Leyward Stones world. Crystal is going to share with us her experience publishing with Kindle Vella. Kindle Vella is a way to share serialized stories with readers over an extended period, 1 episode at a time. Welcome to the DreamForge channel, Crystal Crawford.
Hi, Crystal. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Scott?
It's good to see you. I really appreciate you coming on the show with us and talking about Kindle Vella because especially, in my crowd, not a lot of people have heard of Kindle Vella who are readers and members of book clubs and that sort of thing. So I'd like to start just with you giving us an understanding of what is Kindle Vella and what does it do?
Okay, sure. Kindle Vella is a serial publishing platform that Amazon launched a couple of years ago, July of 2021. And the goal for Kindle Vella, according to them, was to have episodic stories. So authors can post as often as they like. They recommend at least once a week, but the story is being posted in little chunks rather than all at once like an ebook. And then the goal was for readers to be able to follow a story as it develops, as the characters move through, their experiences. And similar to how TV shows used to be before we were streaming and binge watching, where you would be anticipating the new episode every week. That was what they were wanting to build with Kindle Vella.
And it also sounds to me a little bit back to the old movie cliffhanger serials that they used to do in I guess like the 40s and 30s and 40s sort of thing.
Mm-hmm, yes, definitely, like on Kindle Vella, building a hook into each episode and kind of drawing readers, making them want to come back every week is key. And I enjoy that. I think it's a fun process, and the readers, obviously not everybody enjoys reading serials, but the ones who do really love it and they come back every week. So it's a fun experience.
Okay, well, this is not entirely like a free service. This is something that users pay for. Is that correct?
Yes. So the first 3 episodes of any story on Vella are free to read, but then beyond that, users have to purchase tokens to unlock the episodes. And that's how the authors get paid. It's how Amazon gets paid. And the readers can purchase them in bundles. So if they want to buy like a huge bulk bundle, it's a little bit cheaper per token for them. And then every episode's token cost is determined by its word count. So, the lower, some authors like to break their story into smaller chunks so that the episodes cost fewer tokens, but in the end, they're getting as many words as they pay for, so you can break it up however you want.
So if I'm a Kindle Vella user, what I'm actually doing is I'm buying like a set of tokens from Amazon or for Kindle Vella, and then using them as I want to, unlock various stories of the people that I like to read.
Exactly. So when you get to the end of every episode, it'll have a little continue to next, and then this button will pop up for you to decide if you want to pay the tokens to unlock it. And then Amazon does give, for new users, they give free token bundles. They run promotions where they give free tokens. So there's a lot of ways to keep it affordable especially for new readers. But really the token cost, if you're factoring in the word count for readers, it's really not that much more than what they would pay for an ebook. It's just a different reading experience. And that's what it was designed to be, as a more interactive reading experience.
Now, I heard very exciting news from you earlier this week. Is your main story actually is now in the top 100 of Kindle Vella products. Tell us how that works. Like you've really put a lot of work into doing this. You just didn't start yesterday, but give us a little bit of background. What is your story, and tell us a little bit about the history of you working with Kindle Vella to get it where it is today.
Okay, so my main story on Kindle Vella is called Macchiatos, Fairy Princes, and Other Things That Happen at Midnight. It's a YA fantasy, like an urban fantasy, folklore, fae kind of story. And I've been with Kindle Vella since it launched in July of 2021. I had been indie publishing through KDP before that, and so I got the notice that Vella was happening. And they gave us a little bit of advance warning to have stories ready, and they opened the portal to us kind of as a beta early, so that when Kindle Vella officially launched, we already had the first few chapters in there. So I was there when it launched. I already had a story in there. It was still a slow build though. So I have been posting every single week, at first once a week, now 3 times a week, since July of 2021. The only week I missed, I took 1 month off in December of 2021, I think. But I've been posting every single week, literally, other than that. So it's definitely taken me time to build, but they have a system on Kindle Vella where readers can vote every week for their favorite story that they're reading, and they only get 1 vote. And then those all go into kind of a leaderboard that's called the top faved. And when I first started on Kindle Vella, I would rarely make it onto the top fave because it only has the top 250. And then as of the end of last year, I started trending more in the mid 100s. I broke above 200, which was exciting for me, and stayed there. And as of this month, I actually made it up above 100. I was in the 80s for a while. I've now drifted back down to the upper 100s, but there's a lot of back and forth at the beginning of a month. So I'm expecting to see fluctuation, but I'm going up and down, not just down. So that's good. That's good news. So yeah, I've definitely seen progress. I'm excited to be on, the top half now of that top 250 faved list. And I'm really grateful to my readers who are voting every week to put me there, because it's them who are putting me there. So.
Well, Crystal, you've published a couple of stories in our magazine, in DreamForge Magazine, and I can see that your style would work very well for this sort of episodic, hook-based system, because you really bring the reader into your characters in terms of immediate conflicts that they're trying to overcome, and that the big bad guy is just around the corner. They're really getting into tight scrapes, and you really make the reader, feel the physical and emotional drama of being with that character. And that just sounds to me like something that would work in the Kindle Vella system. So do you think that that's true, that a particular writing style works better with Kindle Vella, or do you think that anyone, even if they're more into world building or whatever, are there different types of writing that you think you've seen on Kindle Vella that fit the platform?
I've seen all types of writing do well. I have several friends on Kindle Vella who are also trending on the faves list, some of them much higher than me. And not all of them have the kind of like tension and suspense as intensely as mine does. But they all do have something that's hooking the readers, whether it's character interactions, really interesting world building. There's a YA fantasy that's trending quite a ways above mine. And it's sort of on that middle grade YA border. But it is a much slower pace than mine, but the world building is just so well done, and it's really intriguing, and it draws you in. And so I think you just have to find your readership for the type of story that you're writing, but there does need to be something that's pulling the readers to keep unlocking episodes, because if they get bored, there is a paywall there. Unlike if they've already purchased the ebook and they've paid all up front, they have to make a decision every single episode whether they want to continue. So it's more important than ever, I guess, if you're writing a serial, that every single episode has something that propels that reader to the next one.
Well, and again, they are paying, and you are also getting paid. So this is a money-making venture for you to be on Kindle Vella, which brings up the question: are the stories you're writing then like locked into Kindle Vella? What is the ownership of the copyright and that sort of thing? How does that work? And can you take this same work and publish it in any other way?
Yes, so that's actually one of the best things about Kindle Vella, is that they have some rules for exclusivity in terms of serial publishing. I'm not allowed to have my content free on any other serial site, but I can have it on another serial site as long as it's also paid there. And then once my story is completed, I can release it in any other form I want as long as I wait 30 days. So, and that's a rolling deadline, because again, the episodes are posting weekly or however often. So the technical rule is that you have to bundle 10 episodes together. It can't be less than 10, because again, they're not wanting you to be confusing people with what you're releasing. So you can bundle 10 or more episodes together, and as long as it's been 30 days since that final episode in that collection was released on Vela, you can publish it in ebook, paperback, whatever else you want to do. They do recommend that when you release it as an ebook that you mention that it was initially published as X story on Kindle Vella, but that's just to avoid readers getting upset if they accidentally double purchase something they've already read. Other than that, and that's a recommendation from Amazon, not a rule. But other than that, you're free to do whatever you want with it. It can also be in Kindle Unlimited, which is really interesting, because ordinarily, if you're in Kindle Unlimited, you're not allowed to have that story in any other electronic form anywhere, because it's the Kindle Select program requires exclusivity, but they've waived that for Kindle Vella, so you can actually do both, which is an interesting development and shows that they're really wanting to encourage authors to do Kindle Vella, and they didn't want to have that wall in the way of authors being resistant to the platform. So
Yeah, it sounds like a very writer-friendly platform and system in that way. Now, let's get into a little more of the details on getting paid, because normally writers think of getting paid so much per word, or if they're writing a novel, they're getting in advance, that sort of thing. But this is like a token system where they're using their tokens, and how does that all get back to you? How does that payment system work where you actually get paid? What's going on in that process?
So like I said, I've been with Kindle Vella since the beginning. So from the beginning, I've followed what they've said about their intentions for the pay structure. Because I say that because I hear authors who are new to Kindle Vella all the time kind of speculating that eventually the payment structure is going to change. But from the very beginning, they were very clear that their payment for Kindle Vella is twofold. There are the strict, like the royalties, which are just the unlock, like whatever a reader pays to unlock your episode. I get 50% of that. Amazon gets the other 50. But those are pennies on the episode. And so it would be very hard to make a decent income that way. So the way that most of us are making a decent income from Kindle Vella is through the other half of the payment structure, which is the bonus pool. They have a monthly bonus pool for Kindle Vella, similar to what they have for Kindle Unlimited authors. And the amount of the bonus pool changes every month. It's only gone up. It's now at 1 million. And it started way less than that, like 450,000 or something. And that bonus pool is divided among all the publishing authors that are on Kindle Vella every month. And the way it's divided up is dependent on things like reader activity on your story, rankings on the fave list and the other lists, publishing activity, meaning like they don't reward a story that's gone stagnant. they want you to be publishing new episodes. And they're not very transparent with how that formula actually breaks down, but they do tell us the factors that go into it so that we kind of know what to focus on. And that pool is, again, like I said, divided among all the publishing authors. So as more authors come into Kindle Vella, I'm realistic, so I know that pool is going to get, is going to be spread more, and the bonuses aren't always going to be as high as they are now for the average Kindle Vella author. But for the ones who are ranking toward the top, they're doing very well. I'm talking like tens of thousands per month in income from Vella. Well, me, I'm doing average well. So me, I make, I think last month was my best month ever. And I made 900 and something in bonus, but I did invest a few hundred in ads. So I roughly doubled what I spent in ads. And so, I made a profit, and I just keep rolling that back in and trying to build and grow. So it's definitely, there is potential there to make real money as an author, to have a career doing Kindle Vella if you love that style of writing and it's what you want to do. Because I told you that I kind of took a step back from writing short stories for now because I saw the potential for Vella, and I didn't have time to do both. It's taking a lot of focus and time, but I am enjoying it.
Well, yeah, for the average writer, if you were able to get in there and engage people with your story and make even a few $100s a month, that's probably more than they do submitting stories to magazines, unless they have a name and they have a bit of a reputation. So it does seem like a good opportunity, and you're, in a sense, responsible for a lot of your own success, in that you have to be able to engage the reader, you have to be able to promote yourself, you have to be able to put the effort into the system. And one thing I know, certainly from working with you both at DreamForge and from us talking about your experience with Kindle Vella, is that you're approaching this as a business. You didn't say, oh, well, I put something up last week and I only got a few views, so this is stupid and I'm done with it. You've actually invested in this as though, hey, this is potentially a job, a career sort of thing. It's my love. I love to write these stories. And if I put enough effort into it and I invest into it, I'm going to get some return from it. So that's something I think a lot of beginning writers need to know. If you don't have the patience and you're not going to put in the persistence of effort to try to do it, and to study what's selling, study what works well, study how you're going to engage your audience, that it's not just an overnight, oh look, this is something I can try and be successful at. But I know you've put in a lot of work.
Yes, I think I had the experience already from back. I used to write on Wattpad, and I built an audience there slowly and methodically. And then eventually there was just a tipping point. I got a message from the Wattpad staff saying they were going to feature my story on their featured list. And on Wattpad, they warned me. They were like, it's going to go up tomorrow and be ready. And I got thousands of they were flooding in, the likes, the comments, the notifications, and my story just shot to the top. By the time that momentum tapered out, I had 1.5 million reads on my story. Wattpad wasn't paid, but gave me the experience there, learning how to hook readers, learning how to interact with readers, learning how to just consistently build something, even when I'm not immediately seeing a return. Some of it takes just belief in that what you're doing and that you're writing a story that's worth reading. And that confidence, that belief is definitely something I've built over time by studying, by getting involved in things like Dreamcasters and Moon's Wolfpack, honing my techniques, learning. And then when it comes down to it, it's like you just have to be persistent, like you said, and keep going. I've been publishing on Kindle Vella, like I said, since the beginning. It's been almost 2 years now. And I'm just now seeing that stickiness on the middle of the chart, For the last year, I was like at the bottom of the chart, and now I've somehow jumped and I'm like sticking at the middle of the chart. So even being on the chart is an improvement from my first year on Kindle Vella. So I definitely, for beginning writers, hone your craft, learn your craft, have people you trust. I have a team who reads my stories before they make it to Vela ever. But, you know, also don't expect it to just be you post something and it immediately takes off. It takes persistence and commitment for sure.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit, because we may have people watching who are interested in trying this. Let's in this segment, let's end it by talking about the mechanics of episodes and publishing. Like what is it actually like to use their dashboard, I imagine, and get your stories ready? And do you write them for and copy and paste them in? It's like, how difficult is the technology to use? Let's talk about some of those practicalities.
Okay, the technology is actually very user friendly. So you'll have to create a KDP account if you don't already have one. It's the Kindle Direct Publishing. And then on the KDP dashboard, there's the whole ebook section where you can do paperbacks, ebooks, but there's a tab for Kindle Vella. When you go there, it has its own publishing dashboard. You can input a cover for your story. All the covers on Kindle Vella are like little circle icons, but you will upload a square image and they crop it as a circle. And then you input your story description and you select your categories. You can pick 2. Mine are teen and YA and fantasy for my main story. And then you can pick up to 7 tags, which are like genre keywords. So mine has things like fae, mystery, stuff like that. And then those are searchable by the readers. And then once all that's set up in your story, you kind of publish the story itself. Amazon creates a landing page for your story. And then once that's live, the episodes are really easy to add. You literally just click create new episode, you put in the episode title if you want one, and then you can copy paste text into the box. You can type directly into the box. You can even upload a Word doc and it'll extract the text for you. And you can tweak the formatting right there in the box. So it has like very minimal formatting, like you can do indentions, bullet points, you can center the text, you can do bold or italics. Most of mine keeps the formatting from whatever I had when I put it in, so it's super easy. And then you can add an author note at the bottom. There's a separate box for that. So if you want to say something directly to the readers, like background information, or tell them what's coming in the next episode, or direct them to your social media, whatever. And then you can add a poll now. That's a feature. And then you can just click publish if you want it to go live right away, although it takes anywhere from like a few hours to 3 days, sort of nebulous. And then they also have a scheduling feature. So I like to schedule mine ahead of time because then I know exactly when it's going up. And again, it's a 72-hour lock window. So you have to schedule an episode at least 72 hours before you're wanting it to go live, because that's their review period. So it's very user-friendly. And if you can write ahead and plan ahead, you can schedule episodes, and like I know my episodes go live at midnight on the date that I wanted them released every single time. So I can just schedule them ahead, and then I know how to announce to readers when to expect and all of that. It's very user friendly, and I know I write all of mine in Google Docs and then edit and then copy it over, but I know some people actually write directly into the dashboard because you can save as draft there. If you're not ready to publish. So really, it's very flexible and very user-friendly in terms of the publishing end of it.
Okay, so you're scheduling ahead, but is that scheduling like one episode ahead at a time? Or could you, for instance, do all your work in one weekend and schedule a month's worth of episodes?
You can schedule as many ahead as you want. You just can't schedule out of order, if that makes sense. So if I am still working on this week's episode, but I have next week's episode ready, I couldn't schedule next week's and then work on this one and publish it in between. They have to be scheduled in order. But if you have them ready ahead of time, and like I have right now, 3, I think, scheduled out that are sitting there waiting to go out, but I could schedule an entire year if I wanted to, if I had a whole story that I wanted to break up into chunks. So.
Cool. Okay.
There might be a window for like how far ahead you can schedule. I've never hit that limit. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we're running out of time for this episode, but what I'd like you to do is just, again, promote a little bit. Tell us what your main story is, how people can get there, tell us a little bit about the characters in their world, because I'm sure, our viewers at this point, they want to check this out and they want to see what you're publishing. So let's hear a little bit more about your main story.
Okay, so my main story right now in Vela is called Macchiatos, Fairy Princes, and Other Things That Happen at Midnight. It also says on it season 1 of the Leyward Stones, because it is set in a world that I plan to write more stories in. But season 1 will stand independently of season 2. They can be read separately. So essentially, it's about a girl named Isla. She's just a typical high school student at first, right? But her family has secrets, and they involve Fae. So it's a really I like to keep my stories mysterious and suspenseful, even though it's also definitely a teen YA fantasy. So there is also, sweet romance and love triangles and all kinds of other things happening. I like to play up the drama between characters as well. But this is sort of the Vela debut of my Leyward Stones world, which I've written short stories that have kind of given a glimpse into that world. Some of them are in DreamForge, but it's sort of the portal in. And I started this way with Isla because, again, she doesn't know anything about the world, and then the reader is following with her as she gets pulled into this. So,
okay, well, we're going to have, everybody needs to look in the description of the video, because we're going to have links both to the DreamForge stories that introduce this world and to Crystal's story on Kindle Vella. So basically take a look at that. And next episode, we're going to talk about, okay, now you've gotten started in Kindle Vella, how do you promote yourself and how do you keep this thing going? So Crystal, thank you again for being with us today, and we look forward to being with you in our next episode.
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Crystal, I just want to say that was a tremendous interview. I learned so much about Kindle Vella, and I look forward to our next episode when we'll learn about building your audience and watching the analytics. Until next time, bye-bye.